What up? Pardon me. It's your boy Coach White checking in with you again. Salute, salute. This is another exciting lesson. Coach class with Coach. This is week 26. Facebook salute. YouTube salute. Let me let TikTok in the room. Give me 1 second. TikTok, what up? What up? How y'all doing? Thanks for checking in, even if you check in for a little bit. And I'm finding that I'm running over time. I try to condense this to 30 minutes. So we're going to get right into the announcements. All right. First things first, let's talk about the YouTube channels. The gallery that tells your story. I'm going to share my screen. Where am I? Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Give you guys a glimpse of that channel so you can check it out. And so that you can know what it looks like when you see it. Here we go. So I'm just going to peruse through a little bit. We have some shows on here that were aired on Love Radio Network. Shout out to Dr. Dean, my main Apple Scrap. All right, so just giving you guys a glimpse of what you can look forward to when you go to that page, that channel, sorry, on YouTube. All right, so that's the gallery that tells your story. Now, I'm building my own channel. Not that the gallery is not my own, but what I am going to do is start to make that particular channel specific to events that I host, and all of the other content will be here. All right. So check it out when you get a chance. Got a little bit of content on here, shorts and things of that nature. Also, there's a QR code right here that will gain you access to my calendar. I am accepting new members. My brother and I are accepting new members into our coach programs. If you want to embark upon this journey of self-improvement, if you have unresolved conflicts, or if life is kicking your tail and you need someone to help you to solve some problems, then we are your guys. But check out the channel, Darrell White on YouTube. Poke around a little bit. Let me know what you think. All right. What else we have here? Books for sale, y'all. We have 3 Christian fiction novels. The first is I Do, I Did, and It Didn't. Again, that's a 4-way project with myself, my brother Rock, Anastasia, and Taisha. Salute to them. We had fun with these projects, with that particular project. That is available on Amazon and Kindle, so check that out. Also, 50 Shades of She, my wife's really dope poetic novel depicting her experiences with domestic violence in the past. And it's amazing, man. Y'all got to check it out. How, she was able to escape with her pen those pretty significant trials, tribulations, and during that season, in that season of her life. So check that out, man. 50 Shades of She. And then we have Aiden's Journey, which is 2 Christian fiction novels with Aiden. is the main character. You have the invisible marriage, and you have forsaking all others, Aiden and Nicole. And rubbing my hands together because my next book will be out really soon. Really, really, really soon. It's called Intersections. Working on the book cover now. Got the editors putting eyes on it. So be on the lookout for that. That is another four-way project with myself, my wife, my stepson. Shout out to 50. And my main man, Dax. It's going to be really, really nice, man. So be on the lookout for that. We also have t-shirts for sale. Self-love over self-destruction. I'm getting ready to order some more of those. So let me know if you're interested in promoting that message. Send me a DM. We have Bible study with Coach every Sunday from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we are walking through the book of Hebrews. We are on chapter 9, and we are about to start verse 15, which is probably going to take us 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks to navigate through. Just that one verse. All right. We are on this journey, this spiritual life journey, to know what the Bible means by what it says so that we know how to walk by faith and not by sight. All right. And then also tonight and every Wednesday, we have Coach Class with Coach from 8 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, we're about to get into this tonight. TikTok salute. I see it jumping. Appreciate you guys chiming in, even if it's for a moment. Let's get into this, man. I'm eager and excited to jump in. So let me close that screen. Let me let Brody in.
What's up, bro?
What's up, Jackie? How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. I'm about to hit my camera off. I'm doing something real quick, but yeah, I'm great. I'm grateful you already know.
Good, man.
Another day to evolve.
You sound excellent, brother.
Nice. Appreciate
Good.
it, bro. I got a friend of mine should be try to get into. You see somebody else? Bree?
Yeah, you see three.
Oh, it's 3 people try to get in? That's what's
Three total. Me, you, and
oh,
her.
all right.
Yeah, sure. Nice. Thank you for checking in, sis. How you feeling? Let me turn y'all up, though. Let me turn your volumes all the way up. Thank
I
you
don't
for
see
calling.
I don't see
Well,
the
I
other
see.
screen. That's why. Only see me and your screen.
Well, what I can do is I can do this.
Oh, all right. Oh, she in. All right.
Yeah, okay. She in the building. She in the building.
Yes, I'm
Appreciate you
excited.
checking in.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. Let's jump right into this here first, shall we? All right. I'm gonna minimize y'all for a minute. On the screen. Let's go over the quote of the day, which will take us to the article of the day. And I would put this under the category of self-awareness today. And here's the quote. TikTok, you ready? If you ready, say you ready. The quote is, if you're offended by my boundaries, then you're probably one of the reasons I need them. If you're offended by my boundaries, then you're probably one of the reasons I need them. In my coach class on Tuesday morning to afternoon, I had a sister say, well, I really don't have boundaries when it comes to my family. But the irony is she has most of her challenges with her family. So I said, we need to explore that a little more. So let me read it one more time for the people in the back. If you're offended by my boundaries, then you're probably one of the reasons I need them. All right, let me stop sharing that. Let's go into the article of the day, which I think you would like as well. The article is titled, Why Setting Family Boundaries Triggers You and What Helps. Why setting family boundaries triggers you and what helps. All right. So I'm not going to read it in its entirety, but I will let you guys know that I'm reading from Psychology Today, which is my favorite resource. Psychology Today. If you're not invested in that, please do. Then we have therapistaid.com. That is another great resource. And then we have the other one escapes me offhand, but when it comes back to mind, I'm gonna shoot it out there. These are very, very, very good resources. All right. Almost anything that you could ever experience and any activity, exercise associated with those experiences can be, you could do your homework with any of those resources, just about. I think the other one is, let me not speak. I'm gonna pull it up later. Another resource that you guys could tap into as well, if you haven't already, is TED Talk. They have a lot of good information on TED Talk, so you can put in, something that you're having challenges with on YouTube and type in TED Talk, and there may be a really good presentation on there for you to check out. All right, so let's learn together. Why setting family boundaries triggers you and what helps. All right, so the first part of this, and shout out to Sharon Martin, who is a social worker, a licensed clinical social worker. She says, setting boundaries with your family can stir up old emotional wounds. All right. There's a section here that says, what are boundaries and why are they important? Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw to define acceptable and unacceptable behavior. They encompass how much of ourselves, we share emotionally and physically, how much time we dedicate to others, and how we expect to be treated. Very important. Healthy boundaries create a safe space for us to thrive. They allow us to maintain our sense of self, build trust, and foster healthy, fulfilling relationships. All right. Then she gets into why setting boundaries with family can be triggering. Here's a key piece in the article. And some of these are obvious, but we need to explore this. Emotional triggers are natural reminders of past trauma. Emotional triggers are natural reminders of past trauma. A specific tone of voice, a hot button issue, or even a smirk or eye roll can transport us back to a time when we felt unsafe, unheard, or unloved by our families. All right. These triggers, she says, can be particularly strong when setting boundaries with your family of origin. All right. Setting boundaries with family can be particularly triggering for these reasons. This is what she notes. Number one, family history. Your family of origin shapes your understanding of relationships and intimacy. If our upbringing involved criticism, guilt trips, or emotional manipulation, setting boundaries can be challenging, as it may disrupt the familiar dynamic and evoke fears of rejection or conflict. Then she mentions enmeshment. Enmeshment. In some families, boundaries are blurred or non-existent. I know a lot of clients like this. A lot of clients that I'm thinking about who, because of their mental health challenges, are adults that still live at home. And they are very, very dependent of their families. And the line is blurred in terms of where the boundaries need to be set. But as it pertains to enmeshment, there might be an unhealthy level of emotional dependence where personal space and individuality are sacrificed for the sake of family unity. Setting boundaries in an enmeshed family can feel like you're severing a vital connection and being disloyal. And that's a big one. Some people don't feel a need to set boundaries in a enmeshment family dynamic because they feel like they will be being disloyal. You know, all they've done for me, I live in their home and so on and so forth. And they, because of those reasons, they don't set boundaries. But boundaries are important. And then she mentions guilt and obligation. We're often conditioned to believe that family relationships supersede personal needs. Setting boundaries can induce feelings of guilt and a sense of obligation to prioritize your family over yourself. All right. So here's some common triggers when setting boundaries. With family. While everyone has unique triggers, this list can help you identify situations, people, and behaviors that may elicit strong responses. The first one she mentions is bringing up the past. Bringing up the past. Discussions about past hurts or conflicts can be emotionally charged, especially if they haven't been fully resolved, and can reactivate old wounds. And then there's invalidation. An eye roll or comment like "no one cares what you think" can remind you of times when your family disregarded your feelings or needs. And then she mentions guilt trips. Some families rely on guilt to manipulate family members. Hearing phrases like "after all we've done for you" can trigger a sense of obligation and make it difficult to say no. And then we have overstepping boundaries. Overstepping boundaries. If a family member has a history of disregarding your needs and requests, attempts to set boundaries around these issues may trigger a power struggle. And then we have unrealistic expectations. Families can often have unspoken rules about how members should behave. Attempting to break free from these expectations can trigger feelings of disappointment or disapproval. And then we have criticism. If you were frequently criticized, even gentle feedback may trigger shame or inadequacy. And then there's rejection. Having your boundaries dismissed can reactivate fears of being rejected or disowned by your family. So then she identifies strategies for managing emotional triggers. Number one, the first step to identify your triggers is that you have to be self-aware. Look for overreactions, and this is where your journaling is going to come in. So I'm going to pull up my chalkboard in the end so that we could give you some kind of template for how you can organize your journal. But the first step is, to be self-aware. We have to identify what your triggers are. In a lot of my one-on-one sessions, I find that people don't even know what their triggers are. So what I've been doing with people is having them to journal, and the journals are interactive. So just to give you a clear picture, people bring their journals to the session, right? And we take a look at specifically the notation of when your moods shift. That is something that we need to hone in on. She says, look for overreactions where emotions feel stronger than the situation warrants, right? Or underreactions, which are a lack of response when one is needed, such as suppressing feelings or not speaking up. Very important, all right? Physical sensations is something that we need to keep in mind as well, like a racing heart, sweaty palms, and things of that nature, um, which could also be cues, she mentions, that you're emotionally triggered. All right. Number 2, take a break. Step away from the triggering situation to cool off. Right. Nothing wrong with taking the time out and saying, hey, look, I need to get myself together. And then when you separate yourself, she mentioned breathing exercises, taking a deep breath, inhale deep, exhale out, doing some reflection on your own, and then returning when you're ready, so that you're not as emotionally triggered going in. Number 3, validate your emotions. Validate your emotions. Acknowledging your feelings, such as I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting to the trigger. All right. Number 4, release physical tension. Engage in physical activities you enjoy to release stress. Very, very, very important. So that's a part of self-care. All right. Go to the gym, swim, some people go and relax in the sauna, schedule a massage. My wife and I, we go to the stretch zone once a week. So we get stretched out, gives you a chance to relax, you feel more flexible. I know every time I get off the stretch board, I feel about 10 years younger. So self-care in that regard is critical, and it helps you to release some physical tension. And then lean on your support system, and really evaluate your support system. So coaches like myself, Coach Jamar, we can serve as your support system, your therapist, any of your mental health providers or professionals, people in your family that you can count on, people with an objective voice, right? Not people that's always on your side, but some people that can give you an objective view and that are right in the middle. They should be really upgraded, if they haven't been, to your support system. And then be prepared, she mentions. Anticipate potential triggers and rehearse your responses. We're going to go over that in a minute, during once we go to the chalkboard. All right. Communicate your needs. Clear, direct communication can help reduce conflict. You got to be very clear about what your boundaries are and what you need from people. So I'll give you this little tidbit. I had a client that was in session yesterday, and he was very uncomfortable about having setting boundaries with his parents, because he lives in their home for the time being, and it is a cultural thing for him. So he felt a little like, hey coach, well, I really don't know, rather it's going to hurt my parents' feelings, right? So one thing I encourage him to do is speak the truth, in love, right? And say, hey, you preface it by saying, hey, look, I know this is your home. However, when you do or not do, say or don't say XYZ, it makes me feel, and then you express how you feel, right? And then there's the call to action. It makes me feel however it makes me feel. It makes me feel sad. It makes me feel anxious. It really stresses me out. And I'm asking you, can you refrain from doing that for me? And you're asking them a direct question, because sometimes we get into explaining how we feel, but we don't follow it up with a question so that they know what we need from them moving forward. All right. So it's clear. It's imperative that we are clear on what our expectations are. So then she says, set realistic expectations. Change takes time, especially in long-standing family dynamics. Don't expect immediate acceptance or agreement. All right. So just hang in there, be consistent. This is a process, not a light switch. All right. Because people been the way they are, especially family, especially our elders. They've been stuck in a certain way for a long time. So don't expect it to change right away. You're going to have to continue to reinstate your boundaries. And then be kind to yourself. Setting boundaries is challenging and setbacks are normal. She says, celebrate your successes, learn from your experiences, and give yourself compassion. All right. Let me see. Bodie got bumped out. Let me let him in real quick. All right. Let me share my chalkboard real quick before we get out of here. All right. Let me peek real quick. Sure. Okay. We're good. All right. So takeaways. Couple takeaways today. And I changed the way these things were worded because in your journal, you want to make things personal. This is about you. In the most important relationship that you'll have ever outside of your relationship with God is your relationship with you. So when you're journaling, and this is sort of a template here, you got to make it personal. So the first takeaway is that I noticed my boundaries are the invisible lines that I draw to define acceptable or unacceptable behavior. They being boundaries, how much of myself I share emotionally and physically, how much time I dedicate to others, and how I expect to be treated. All right? My emotional triggers are natural reminders of my past trauma. Identifying situations, people, and behaviors that elicit strong responses. That's why it's important to identify emotional triggers. Learning to manage my triggers will help me set more effective boundaries and feel less stress. All right? So if you're following this template, here's your journal entry. When do I overreact? I want you to take note of the times when you overreact. And be real with yourself. Be real with yourself. And then you're going to notate, where are my emotions strongest than the situation warrants? These are situations where you may experience intense anger, you may experience shame, etc., etc. All right? Then you want to notate, when do I underreact? Which is clear, when I lack responses when one is needed, right? This is when I'm suppressing feelings, for example. This is when I'm not speaking up. And then I want to notate, when do I experience physical sensations? Like a racing heart, sweaty palms, jitters, whatever, because these could be cues for when I'm emotionally triggered. And then we have a call to action. Call to action. This is what you are going to act out. This is where your practice comes in. Your training, your self-training, self-improvement training. You are going to anticipate potential triggers from these individuals, and you're going to rehearse your responses out loud. All right? Anticipate potential triggers and rehearse your responses out loud. And then you're going to also practice communicating your boundaries clearly and assertively using I statements. Practice communicating your boundaries clearly and assertively using I statements. All right? That is the template. So in my journal, this is how I have it set up. I got my takeaways from the article, just a couple. I have a journal entry where I'm going to literally take time because I love myself and I promote self-love over self-destruction. I'm going to take some time and spend some quality time with myself answering these questions. And then I'm going to complete my call to action, where I'm going to anticipate potential triggers. I'm going to rehearse my responses. I'm going to, and I say I should have said my. Let me change that. Hold on. Anticipate potential triggers and rehearse my responses. Practice communicating my boundaries clearly and assertively using I statements. All right. All right. It is 8:28. This is where I stop sharing and check in with my beloved co-host. And ask you guys, let me blow you up for a minute on the screen. Split the screen in 3. I'll get you guys feedback. Anything you want to add? Something you heard, something you thought about. Anything you want to add to this before we close out?
We talked about this a lot. So, just from experience, how important setting boundaries are for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's not for the other person, for yourself. If you don't, it just shows your self-worth. And it's like strengthening your self-worth, I would say that. Help you define what's acceptable, you know what I'm saying? And and without them, what they say, healthy people tend to accept boundaries. People that want control normally have a problem with boundaries. So I think they're very important. You got to set boundaries, you have to, with family, friends, whoever it may be. Yeah. They help you.
That's true. Very, very important. You still there, Brody? Turn your volume up. Okay. All right, cool enough. Sis, you want to add anything? Anything you want to share on the subject?
Yes, I will add. I really didn't have any boundaries for myself, but once I put those boundaries in place, it eliminated unnecessary stress. And when you don't have boundaries, you tend to be like a people pleaser. So people that lack boundaries, they want to please everybody. And it's hard to say no because I find myself saying yes when I really want to say no. But when I actually do what they're asking me to do, it's just so much unnecessary stress. So I said this year I would say no. I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that. I can no longer overextend myself. So Healthy boundaries is something you have to have for
Yeah,
sure. Definitely
absolutely.
have to have it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you
This
for
was
choosing. Thank you for choosing you.
yes, this was really good. Really, really good. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Excellent. All right. Cool enough. All right, Brody, you still there? I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm getting the wrong button. You probably got to jump back on. All right. There it is.
You hear me, bro?
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, I was talking, but I could hear you and everything, but you couldn't hear me no more. I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I turned you up, and then I don't know what happened after that, but
Oh,
yeah. Which the last thing I heard you say was, we talked about this before. You went into the spill, and you said setting boundaries is important, and yeah,
no, it's just like yeah, just for your self worth. You know what I
yeah,
mean? If you don't, nah. You know what I'm saying? It leads you. It's like a snowball effect.
yeah.
So it's like
Hmm.
important to set boundaries for yourself. And it's like be honest. Don't because of course be kind. I always say be kind, have courage, and be kind. But it's not about anybody else. It's
Yeah,
about yourself. So you can't be
absolutely.
worrying about what everybody else worrying about, thinking about, or how they feel. That's what they need to figure out. But you got to set boundaries for yourself to help protect yourself and your peace. Um,
Absolutely.
so they're very important.
Yep. Appreciate your feedback, man.
But
Always. Thank you guys for being my co-host today. We're gonna close out. TikTok salute. Thank you for checking in. See you guys next week. Peace. All right. Facebook, YouTube. See you guys next time. Thank you for checking in. All right.